guys, welcome back to the shop. Hey, today I've got a customer's crankshaft that I need to work on, and it's going to be pretty time consuming. The gentleman was trying to change the bearings, and he was doing what probably most of us do, trying to grind and cut the bearing a little bit, and then get ready to, to cut it enough so you can whack the bearing and break it apart. And got distracted somehow and made a little boo-boo on the sealing surface. So I think just out of disgust, he sent it to me. We talked about it a little bit. And, these kind of things just happen. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody gets distracted. It's just something that happens to all of us. And I'm not going to dwell on any of that. I'm just going to fix the crankshaft and just kind of go over what you really need to do when you're doing something like this. And, granted, you can be as cautious as you can be, and something can still happen. But anyhow, let me get you overhead here. I'll show you where we're at, what we've got to do, and how we're going to proceed. Okay, here's the crankshaft in question. He was doing good, I think, and got it pretty well split here. There's no damage here, but he got into the sealing surface right here a little bit. And, it's not too bad. I think actually that the seal would, it's a double lip seal. I think one lip would probably seal it okay. But he wants it fixed. So I'm going to try to get the bearing off, and then we're going to make a sleeve for this out of stainless steel, just like I've done on a couple other crankshafts, and we'll repair that. It'll be better than new. It'll never rust. It'll never, it's a really solid repair. This kind of thing, it just gets the best of most of us. I can see that on this particular crank, the oil slinger back here is pretty close. I don't think a bearing splitter would go under that. I just don't think a fella can get it under. Maybe I'll break mine out and just see, but I really don't think it will. I think that it's actually, this is close enough that if you hit this pretty sharply with a hammer, this will all just come apart. And the only thing that'll be left on there will be the inner race. And we can heat that up and should be able to pull that off. Or we may even be able to get under it then with bearing puller. We'll see. But let me grab my bearing puller. I just don't think I'll be able to get back there behind it. But let me see. When we're doing stuff like this, I realize that hindsight doesn't really help much, but you might think about trying to protect this any way you can, and we may end up doing this yet. So, wrap it up, tape it up, rubber hose, and tape all that on good. Whatever you can do to protect what you're, if you happen to slip with a hammer or whatever, even with a grinder, this hose is going to give you a little bit of a buffer zone. This little bit that happened here, that would have protected. Just a common piece of radiator hose or something like that. And even some tape would have given you some protection, but the hose is the best thing. And if you're beating on something, make sure that you wrap up things like this so that if you strike it, it's not going to damage it terribly. I'm pretty sure that this will, if we hit this with a hammer, it'll shatter and it'll just pop apart, except for the center race will still be on there. But that we can deal with. But what I'm going to do here first is I'm going to try to get my bearing splitter underneath there, and we'll just see. You know, maybe it'll put enough pressure on it to just go ahead and pop it, or it might just go ahead and pull it off. I don't know. It'll be real close. We'll see. I'm sure that he is just terribly kind of mad at himself and just sick about this whole thing. I would be. So I just don't know how this is going to whether it's going to have enough to get underneath that or not with that slinger back there. But we will see. Let me kind of get her ready here. All right, let's see what we can make happen here. This side actually looks like it's getting under it. This side, not so much. Yeah, I think it's pulling it up a little bit. This side's not getting under it. This one is. Let me back this off again, and maybe I can bend that slinger down a little bit. Yeah, it acts like it's trying to get under, but see, let me turn this way. It's still kind of up here. Let me see if I can get a punch and hammer and it's bent down, so I'm going to go ahead and just try to get it as close as I can. Let me move you here. See, I'm just trying to flatten that slinger out. He said he's got some. He was able to get some, so, and of course it's already damaged, so I'm not feeling too bad about doing this. Okay, let me see if we can get under it now. It'll just simplify things if we can get under it. I gotta move you here again. You gotta be able to get in here and kind of push on this a little bit. There, maybe. Yeah, she's going to pull it up. We're going to luck out. I can hear it popping. Yeah, it's lifting it up. I think you can see here now. or it's going to pull all the way off, we may have to take it over and put it in the press. But we'll get most of it. Okay, I don't have the puller stuff to do that, so we'll just take this over and put it in the press and finish it off. Okay, let's get our aluminum here on the end. This is kind of off center because I got to stay away from the connecting rod right here. I don't want it to run into this. So that's why I'm kind of off center here. Hoping it's going to work. And I'm going to reach underneath and just grab that. Okay, there we go. So we lucked out on that. Okay, let's see if we can get the slinger off. And again, let's just protect this kind of the best we can, in case we go berserk with our hammer here or something. Pretty tight. Okay, and that should be stuck into that too. Sticks into the pin. There. And we've got the shim here, plus the slinger. Okay, we've got to tear this apart in order to do this, and he's really wanting to put new bearings in it. The bearings seem to be hard to find. He did find a pin and the thrust washers, but we're going to have to either wait or try to find an aftermarket. Maybe ProX has got something. We'll just take a peek and see. Okay, but the thing I'm trying to get across is anytime you're grinding or slinging a hammer or anything around these like this, protect your ends if you can. You know, this one here, it's just perfect as far as the seal and bearing surfaces and the threads. Threads are really an issue these days with the parts kind of running out. So just protect them, whether it's just a piece of hose, even though this one here fits good and tight. This one here, you could tape that on and make it so it'll stay. You can use some foam like this, wrap it around and tape it. Just try to think about what could happen and protect your part, because we all make mistakes and we all get sidetracked from time to time. So we lucked out, was able to get the bearing off without too much fanfare. We just got it off with the bearing splitter. Okay, guys, I think we're ready to kind of take some measurements and whatnot for this. I'm going to take my normal measurements of the width, Then we're going to put it up in the lathe and we're going to check it for runout, what it has now, before we take it apart. And then we'll go ahead and take it apart. But first thing we do is, or I do anyway, is I take a measurement at the pin. And I'll do it in millimeters. Some people don't like that I go back and forth, but you know, it's just the way I am. Most of the measuring equipment I have is in Imperial, so I use it and I just convert it. It's no big deal. It just takes a little time, but I'm retired and I have a lot of time. Okay, 69.98. So I'll make a note of that. And then we take another one, approximately 180 degrees from the pin. And I'm at 70.06 millimeters, both of those measurements. Okay, so you always want to take care of, you want that measurement because when you go back together, you need to be there. If you're too wide, it may not go in the cases. So you've got to make sure that you're at least back to that point when you put it back together. If you're building it, then you can go to the cases like I've done many times. You can go back to some of the other videos and measure. You put the cases together, measure the cases, and that way you know exactly what your shim's going to be like and everything when you put it back in, or no shim, you know, whatever the matter. But just take your measurements so you know before you start. So that's what we've got here. And let me get over to the lathe and we'll get started there. Okay guys, I just want to, some people think that you can't be accurate on the lathe. You know, I don't know why I have to do this, but I just want to show you. I've got a center, a 60-degree center that I've turned down myself in a 3-jaw chuck. So it's been turned to this lathe. It's zeroed out right there. Let me show you here. I think we got some glare. Okay, you can see there it's 0, and I'm turning the chuck, and we're at 0 basically. It wiggles a little bit. I'll give you that. Now we'll go down to the 12-inch point. And there's 0. And 0 at 12 inches from the center, or from the chuck. Go back down, repeatability, 0. Okay, in my opinion, all my centers are in perfect shape on this crankshaft. They're in good shape. None of the other ones, I mean, not always can you say that, but you can on this one. The centers are perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and set it up between centers here. And I've got high pressure lube on my centers. Just put a little pressure on it. Maybe got a little too much, maybe. Right about there. Good. All right. Okay, one thing I want to ask, I've been filming in 1080, and this video and the last one I did in 4K. I just wonder people will let me know what that video quality is like. It takes up a lot more memory, but you know, if it's good, it's good. That's what we want to try to do. Okay, I've got everything set up here, and I want you to take note that there's a keyway right here. So I've got my dial indicator out as far as I can get out to there. Yes, I can set it up out here and take an interrupted measurement, but you know what is in this interruption, who knows? You know, so I really don't feel that it's going to give us a whole lot more information. So, and I'm as close as I can get on this side to stay out of the damaged area. So we should be pretty good where it is. We'll just turn this and zero out our, okay, this one's zeroed out at that way, and this one here is up to about 2, but as I come around you'll see it's zeroed right there. Okay, so both of them are 0, and you can tell. Let's look at the left side, mag side first. Okay, we're right at a thou, and let's just call it a thou and a half. It's pretty close. Now we'll go over and look at the other one. And looks like 2. Not quite 2. Okay, so I'll make a note of that. Thou and a half on the mag side, and 2 thou on the clutch side. Okay, let's get it set up here. I think we're ready to go. Centered up in our pinhole with our pusher. And our rod is clear in the back and up here. So let's see what it does. This is a big one. I've got my hand down here to catch it. Still good. Okay. Okay guys, came apart a little better than I thought it would. I don't know, I don't have a gauge on my press, but I've had some of them that it was squealing pretty good to get them pulled off and back on. I don't see anything wrong with the rod. Rod looks good. And we've got 2 thrust washers here and a bearing, and there's probably nothing wrong with the bearing either. But we're going to see, you know, nothing really there either on the pin. It's just normal looking in my opinion. Still got this is one that's got the Suzuki hole in it. So we do have a new pin though. What I need to know is what the size of the lower end OD is. Looks like 33 millimeter. I think I saw one for that when I was looking through the Pro X site. Yeah, 33. See, we knew what the pin was. .33 millimeters on the OD of the bearing. That's essentially the bearing. Here's a new pin, but this new pin doesn't have the hole in it. Oh yes it does, there it is. Okay, so these were 26, I think. Yeah, 26 millimeter ID. That's of the rod, actually, of the bearing. You know, there's our, when this is loose until it goes into the rod, and then everything is good. So you just, that's what we've got to look for. I'm almost certain I saw one on the Pro X website. I've just got to figure out how to order the bearing by itself. Okay guys, there we have it. Just a little short video here on the teardown. Just checking the runout before we take it apart, checking the width, and now all we've got to do is try to find a bearing, and then we'll start on the repair of the sealing surface on the crankshaft. It'll just be, oh, I don't know, probably the first half inch or so of this. We'll do just like I've done on, I think I've done a couple Yamahas and a couple smaller Suzukis. They just, we'll cut this down, make a stainless steel sleeve. It'll go on with about 2/1000 interference fit with Loctite. And then we'll turn it down to the bearing surface size behind it. So the bearing will go over it, and then we'll be good to go. And that piece will never rust or corrode. We'd rather not do it, but in this case we're going to save it, because these are not easy bikes to find parts for. So hey, thanks for going along on the ride, and we'll see you next video.